good stuff. Make someone want to talk, if you really want to know about that day.
Yeah, if it's okay with you, I'd really rather not tell this story. It's just such a painful story. Okay, if you insist.
Now, if you were paying attention at all, you would have heard about this from my second season of my podcast, but it was way back before the original GoFundMe, before I had, gotten all the new stuff, the new rig and all that. But anyways, back at Carson Newman, a little place I went to college for a few years.
Skylar has always been successful, in my opinion. But just think of where he could be today if he avoided that drastic moment in his life.
It was a rainy day, a harbinger of what to come. At least that's how I like to imagine it. I heard this from a secondhand source. That's like 3 hands.
I mean, it wasn't much to it, to be honest. It was me, Skylar, Beak-Nose, Tim, and Bobby just at the Stokely's Eatery. Just shooting the breeze, chewing the fat, not doing anything important.
It was a typical Friday afternoon. Me and the boys had just gotten out of classes, and so we were rolling like 6 deep up into the caf, So it was me and Tim and Jonathan and Skylar and Ian. And somebody else was there. Oh, it was Michael. And so we all rolled up into the caf. And, it's a typical Thursday afternoon. We just got out of class. And we all get in line. We're getting our foods, Me and Skylar, we were roommates at the time, so we were on the same wavelength. And so we always got what we always get on Wednesdays, right? We get the wings on Wednesday nights. So it was a Wednesday night, we got our wings.
I was there with some of my buddies. We were just hanging out. We were chatting like we normally do, talking about language and stuff. And, strange lady sits right next to us like she normally does. Not a big deal, not a big deal. People do that. People sit next to other people. It's nothing weird. I'm not going to judge them for it.
And then this red-headed dame walks up to us with a plate. Just sits beside Skylar. Doesn't introduce herself or nothing. We're not the kind of folks to run anyone off, so she stays, but little did we know that Skylar was a dead man walking in that moment.
Tim starts to talk about some language class he's in, right? And so he's complaining about Latin or something. I don't remember. So I start complaining about Greek. And then Michael pops in with how he loves the Italian language because he lives in like Italy for a little bit. And he never ever lets us forget that fact, right? Michael lived in Italy. So we're all sitting around complaining about languages or praising languages, just talking about languages. Me and Skylar are chowing down on our burgers when Skylar kind of interjects and is like, man, I don't know any other languages. We all kind of stopped and was like, what, Skylar? There's no way. You gotta know other languages. And so Skylar puts down his corn dog for a minute and Skylar was like, look, all I'm saying is English is the best language. It's what the Bible is written in, right? If it was good enough for King James, it's good enough for me.
We're talking. And Skylar, my guy Skylar, big brawny guy, okay? Big brawny, Fabio looking. Anyway, he's very polite, very friendly, and he's just like, Bible's written in English. And we all pause what we're saying, like, yeah, Bible's written in English, yeah. And he says, so English was good enough for Jesus. It's good enough for me. And you can't really argue with that straightforward. I mean, we've all thought that before, but nobody articulated that before. And we're like, oh, well, shoot, I think you're correct. And we thought, it's done. Okay, stamp that, move on. Let's go back on to the next thing.
We all kind of pause and think about that argument because it's a dang good argument. You know what I'm saying? And so we're thinking, and I'm like, dang, Skylar's right. I guess I just need to give up on Greek. Who needs it anyway? And Tim's over here thinking about changing his major.
One makes an offhand comment, a racist one might say, about the Bible being in English. Should it only be in English, Skylar? But no, someone else had a different idea.
This girl pops up, and she's like, actually, the Bible's been translated into hundreds of languages.
making just an offhand joke about the Bible. One that I, after hearing it, thought was pretty accurate myself. But after being told the Bible is in thousands of languages, I didn't even know there were thousands of languages.
This girl speaks up. She just starts talking as if we asked her, right? She's just like, actually, the Bible's been translated into hundreds of languages. And, like, there's this moment where it's like, no, it hasn't. And, like, you know, it's obvious that it hasn't. And then you start thinking, you're like, isn't Mexican a language? American's a language. I've heard people speaking Muslim before. And it's like, well, I guess we were just wrong. Skylar must have been wrong. And there's nothing to do about it.
Hundreds of languages, she said. The Bible's been translated into hundreds of languages. Yeah, Skylar. Some people are actually inclusive.
The dame spoke up and murdered the poor fella. Like, figuratively speaking, murdered him with her words.
I've known Skylar for going on 7 years at this point. I've never known him that well, but I could tell that day something in him changed.
And it was that day that Skylar decided to stop being my roommate because he couldn't handle the embarrassment in our room anymore.
Yuck!
And after that happened, well, you can see me now. None of us were quite the same.
So that's why I look back on it as a sad day. The worst day in the history of all days. Because it was the day that Skylar got ashamed.
That mistake has cost us all, Skylar the most.
Do you know the Bible's been translated in thousands of languages? Those are the words that put the old boy down and us to silence. I'm happy with that.